What kind of music do you listen to when you're just at ease, you're not working?
You know, I don't listen to things. Surprising for someone with such a big musical background as me, but I don't listen to the radio in the car. If I was driving, I would maybe have a CD in. I mean, I can remember the last time I listened to something in the car was with The Who, and this Won't Get Fooled Again, which is a wonderful, song. When my kids, they get in the car and put their music on. I mean, my son, 14-year-old, has got a band, so sometimes we listen to his tapes. Another time we listen to what they're listening to, So I discover music through them.
Well, with the kids, do they listen to rap, hip-hop?
No, they know all about that stuff, but, I mean, I can think of two bands that Nicholas and Matthew like, which is One Republic and Two Door Cinema Club, so I'm familiar with them. And I got tickets to a One Republic concert for Nicholas, and we went backstage, met the band, and, fantastic, really great guys. And Ryan Tedder, who's the singer, is a very good writer. I mean, he writes for Adele, and he writes Beyonce, I mean, and it's great, I kind of think, well, that's great, I should listen to more music, But really, kind of other people's stuff has got marginal interest for me. I'll do what I do. So every now and again, I'll have a top-up, but then I'll go blank for a couple of months and not listen to anything.
Did you at any time early on or anywhere along the way get interested in classical music? Well,
yeah. My father loved Bach, and that was played at his memorial service. Elgar's Enigma, I mean, kind of it's the pop classics, things that everybody knows. And when I did the musical, for Disney, Tarzan, I listened to a lot of show music. My Fair Lady, Oliver, which I knew anyway, but I kind of revisited it. And West Side Story, which I think is one of the best scores ever written, And because I was having to write new music for Tarzan, and I wanted to do it properly, I felt I should absorb the best of that world and understand what is needed when you write a song for Broadway. And we had this conversation, Tom Schumacher, who's the boss of Disney Theatrical, we had a conversation about the 11 o'clock song, the song that keeps everybody in their seats. Because around 11 o'clock, everyone starts thinking, where's the train? We're going to miss the train. They mentally go home.
Right.
And you've got to write a song that keeps them in their seats, which is a lot of pressure.
I never heard the phrase, the 11 o'clock song.
Yeah, something that's a big song, emotional song that kind of sums up. And in Tarzan, it was when Tarzan discovers that actually he's a man, and he discovers his father's clothes, and he starts to put them on and realize that stand upright, and he was a man. So I wrote a song about that, and he had to decide whether he was going to stay with Jane or whether he was going back to the human world. And I really lifted my game and delivered a song that, kept them in their seats. But that's why I do all these different things, because if I'm a composer, it's something I should learn how to do, Don't just stay here. Learn how to do that, and take the risk, because it is a risk. 'Cause you'll be in my home. Yes, you'll be in my home.
Disney's film version of Tarzan ended up winning Collins an Oscar for Best Song.
The Oscar goes to Phil Collins for You'll Be in My Car.
You don't know what this means to me. And you don't know what this means to my kids. And this is fantastic. Thank you.
He was then asked to write the score for the Broadway stage adaptation. The show was not nearly as successful as the film, but true to form, Collins accepted the assignment eagerly, adding Broadway composer to his long resume. I was again looking at my notes, that you're one of only 3 musicians who has sold 100 million albums as part of a group and as a solo artist. The other 2 being Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. Now, I'd like to put an exclamation point. What an accomplishment. How did you deal with that success?
Well, I had to read that No one told me.
Nobody told you that you'd reached that
No one
summit?
told me, and I read it in a magazine, and I said, is this true? Because that's great company. You know, I mean, I grew up with McCartney, and Michael Jackson, we all know, you know, was a genius, you know, his individual kind of powerhouse. And I was so proud to be, you know, in that group. And of course, that will never happen again, which is kind of, because the way we buy records is totally different now.
What a good point. It's not going to happen again because the record business, the whole recording business has changed.
Yeah. It's like me doing London and Philadelphia with Live Aid via Concord. You know, that can never happen again because Concord doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. Yeah, so there's some things that are just part of an era. And I really didn't know. But I am really proud of that, yeah.
Well, let me ask you a direct question. When you finally did find out about that, did that result in you getting big-headed, conceited?
No, I've always maintained a grounded approach, and I think that's the way I was brought up. And I don't know, my mother and father, they never said anything to me, but it was just the way it is, you know. I mean, it's a normal way of behavior to me, to kind of feel yourself lucky, and it's always the thing ahead rather than, you know, sitting back on your laurels. I mean, I do think, I wish I could enjoy it more, you know, and actually, you know, stop work, which I have done now, and actually sort of, yeah, okay, this is great. But also in Genesis, you know, we were all very, very good at taking each other down, you know, keeping each other level-headed. I mean, I used to go in, you know, and say, well, In the Air Tonight is #1 in Holland, you know, and guys say, yeah, but it's still only got 3 chords in it. You know, so we had a great way of dealing with each other, and I think that helped.
Well, you mentioned that you retired, but in a recent interview with Rolling Stone magazine, and I quote directly, you said, I'm no longer officially retired. The horse is out of the stable, and I'm raring to go.
But I was on medication when I said that. You see, I mean, he interviewed me, you know, I was in my bedroom. I mean, I was not in bed, but he came and interviewed me, and, you know, I was just recovering from the back surgery. I didn't know anything about it, Your Honor. And I'm enthusiastic when people say they miss me and would I come back out. My kids are also very enthusiastic about me going and writing some new songs, you know, and they're very proud of what I've done. All my kids, not just the younger ones, and they've all been encouraging me. My oldest daughter has said to me, it's very dangerous to retire, Dad, you know, because this is part of what you are. And it was interesting, I remember her saying that, and at the time I thought, yeah, but I want to stop, you know. But I realized that there's a bit of me which I should keep going.